Okay. I'm going to call this regular board meeting of the Venus Trustees Independent School District on September 19th, 2022 at 7 o'clock. And we have a quorum. If everybody please stand for the invocation. Gerald, will you lead us?
Yes. Dear Lord and Father, thank you for this night, Lord. Thank you for this chance for us to be here, Lord. I'd ask you to just be with the ones that showed up tonight in a special way. Lord, I'd ask too that you just give us wisdom tonight, Lord, as we make some choices for the school, for the kids, and the community, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for giving your son to die on the cross. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. If you have turn to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. All right, hold on one second here. Let's get to welcome, everybody. Let's see. I'm going to go to item number 4, presentation of campus reports and recognitions.
Pass it down. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to look at the high school, and Teacher of the Month was Mr. Corder. He's a new hire, and he's already showing some leadership. He's building relationships, and most of all, he has kids excited about learning physics and chemistry. So, and then Ms. Ashley Elliott was the staff member, and she is in a new role. She was a para last year, and she moved into our PEAMS person, and she has been nothing but excellent. So, and she's always friendly service. Madison Dean, what can I say? She's a great role model, great young lady, very enthusiastic. She's in Key Club and various other activities, but her enthusiasm and energy is there day in and day out. We started off the year concentrating on math, and they are doing some applications. In this picture, they went through reflections. So after looking at and studying reflections and plotting it on paper, they went outside and they got to do a bigger hands-on activity. And for high schoolers, they still like chalk. The ag department, Mr. Linson, his classes are busily, as they are every day, in their building projects. They're getting ready for the State Fair of Texas. And Mr. Webb's class is also preparing for the Heart of Texas Fair in Waco. But both of them are preparing kids for welding series competitions and their certifications. Last thing on the list is Spirit Day, and we are trying to fall in line and bring back some spirit to the high school. And we had our first pep rally, and it was a success. So then we had a second pep rally, and so now we are on homecoming, and we have theme days throughout the day. Today was Movie Monday. Tomorrow is Twin Tuesday, and then Wednesday we have Battle of the Classes. Thursday is Twister Thursday, and of course Friday is Friday Night Lights. And I guess I should have said it's a board game theme. So they have really enjoyed the pep rallies as well as the staff, and we'll be there Friday night.
All right. So I'm going to start with I guess I'm next. Am I next? Yes. Fabulous. So I'll start with the Teacher of the Month is Miss Jerry Cox. And Jerry's been with us for a couple of years. She is a reading teacher and has really embraced the beliefs that we have with the grant and station rotation and really knowing her kids and their data and working with them. And so we wanted to recognize Miss Jerry Cox as our Teacher of the Month. And then our support staff of the month is actually here. Ms. Hargrove, stand up. So Ms. Hargrove, this is what the teachers wrote. Ms. Hargrove is a rock star counselor who always does what is right for kids. She's always there to help both students and staff members and tries to accommodate each and every person to best suit their needs. She works tirelessly to get schedules completed for students and is always an invaluable part of starting the school year off smoothly. So thank you, Ms. Hargrove. Our student of the month this time was a sixth grader named Jaden. Super awesome kid. We haven't had sixth graders long, but he already was a standout and really represents what we want a bulldog to be. So events that have been going on, let's see. So with help with CEN, our robotics classes got a grant, and so they are now going to be competing in robotics with the help of that money and some guidance with the CEN folks. We have started UIL Academics, so we are already practicing and getting coaching going on our campus, getting ready for that in either December or January. We don't have a date yet. If you've been past my building, my art classes have been working diligently to try and make the front of the building look as great as it can be, and so they've been painting rocks, and we have a water barrel to water the flowers and put flowers in and things like that. And let's see, student council, they've done nominations and elections have started. They actually were last week, so we already have those folks in place. We hired a new math teacher, so we are hired up in math. That's a great thing. And that's about it.
Okay. Our student of the month is Chevy Hedrick, and she is a third grader. I will tell you, the Hedrick family is pretty special to us. There are 3 kiddos in total, 1 at middle school and 2 still at elementary, and they are being raised by their great-grandmother. So she has done an amazing job, and Chevy is just everything that exudes bulldog, and she is a BYS cheerleader and just loves being at school, is always smiling, and she is in Mrs. Venable's 3rd grade class. And this is our teacher of the month, and this is Kelly Urasi, and she teaches 2nd grade, and this is her 3rd year with us, and we got her from DeSoto ISD a few years ago, and she never wants to leave Venus ISD. She loves being here. She loves being a bulldog, and her room is all things Mario. And everybody knows they may not know how to say Mrs. Urasi, but they all know about the Mario room. They all want to be in her class. So she does an amazing job. And then this is our paraprofessional of the month, and this is Valerie Siller. And Valerie helps with everything in our special education department. I wish I could duplicate her, not just her, but several of our paras, but she is amazing. She has 2 kiddos in our school district also, and is very dedicated to our campus and to our district, and anything you ask her to do, she does with a smile. She's constantly coming up with new ideas. Hey, I think we're doing this. Can we try this? And I think it might work better. She's always coming up with new ideas. So we are very appreciative of her and everything she does. Okay. And my computer went to sleep. Okay. So now it won't let me log in. We are at 655 enrollment, so we've gone up by 1 student. At the time I wrote my board report, we needed 4 paras. I have hired 1 that will start the first week of October, and we just had another one accept, I think today or yesterday. So now I'm down to 2 paras, and I'm just waiting on references. So hopefully by the next board meeting, we will be completely hired up, since the middle school stole some of my people. But we're really excited about that, because all 3 administrators have been doing 2 and 3 lunch duties or recess duties, and I'm tired. Recess duty with second graders and swinging is that wears you out. The top pictures are our evacuation drill. For some of our kids, this is the first time they've ever done this walk over to the stadium, and they did an amazing job. We took some pictures of them. They were so excited to get to go on the track. They thought it was so cool. They're like, this is just like being at high school. This is so cool. So they didn't realize it was an evacuation drill. It was for their safety. They just thought it was so cool that they got to go over there. But we did talk about why they were there. And then I took some pictures at recess, and we are definitely ready for some cooler weather because it is really hot. But they sure love our play structure. That's where I spend a lot of my time. And then Mrs. Fewen, one of our APs, we have so many different law enforcement coming in and out of our building right now to help with safety and security, and they have just been amazing. They are so friendly, and the kids are absolutely loving them, on top of Chief Wood too, because Chief Wood's in our building all the time. But she thought it would be a great idea if we started something called a blue plate special, and we want to send out a flyer to the fire department and to the sheriff's office, because we have a lot of sheriff's office employees that come around to check our doors, to offer them to come eat breakfast or lunch with the kids, and we would pick up the tab for that. So we're working on a flyer to get that out, but we really want to honor them and have them in our building and let them sit down and eat with our kids and have some cheese nachos. And we just have up our Paws events, and that's about it.
Sure. Okay, so I just looked up our current enrollment. We're at 433, so it's dropped since when I wrote this board report. We did in the school year last year at 440, so we're hovering around there. We did have 4 new students enrolled today, so we have some that withdraw, then we get more the next week. Our teacher of the month was Ms. Wanda Thomas. She made the transition back up to first grade this year and has done a fantastic job. Just has made a huge difference on that team, and so we're really proud of her and what she is contributing this year. And then our staff member of the month, Miss Molden. She is our one certified special ed teacher on our campus, and we would not survive without her. She is invaluable. So I mean, truly appreciative of all her work. So she really is rewarding of this, honor. And then our student of the month is little Angel Camacho, bilingual kindergarten student, fantastic. He was nominated because just what he has been able to do in the last 6 weeks, from knowing his letters, sounds, has just been able to increase his letter sense and so forth. It's just in the past couple weeks, and so his teachers were super proud of him. And then I have a few photos of what's been happening on campus. So Ms. Hoffman, so we are doing phonics dance. We incorporated that last year, and now pre-K through first grade, where they start their morning singing to phonics songs, and it's super cool. If you want to go and start your morning off and smile, stop by the primary school, because we have true learning happening in these classrooms. We purchased last year with some title funds. For our science class, you see there that second picture. So we bought all these STEM kind of materials and resources for our science para class. And then Miss Fira starts off her morning each day with sight words vocabulary, stands at her door for about 40 minutes, and that's what she does as the students come in, so it's super exciting. And then I just kind of did some shout out of some of the activities our students are putting up in the hallway. We are prepping for bilingual night here next week. Trunk or treat, we are going to coordinate with elementary at Bulldogs Stadium. And then we are prepping for our fall music programs and Red Ribbon Week. So we're trying to make it exciting, and we're going to bring in some different activities during Red Ribbon Week. So I look forward to sharing that.
Thank you. That concludes campus reports. Okay, we're going to item number 5, for opportunity for public comment. We believe we have 3 people signed up. Is that all we've got? Just the 3? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, so During this public comment session, each person will be limited to 3 minutes. And during this time, the board will not be able to comment back. So first up, Kimberly Hayes. Just, yeah. Ready when you are. Oh, just hit the little button on the right and it should light up red. Is it powered up? Yes, still fired. Oh, it's powering up? Okay, we'll wait for you.
Let me first say I'm not a public speaker. This is not my forte.
There you go.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Kim Hayes. I work at the middle school. I absolutely love my job, and I feel that this is exactly where I belong. This is my 20th consecutive year working for Venus ISD. I moved to the Venus School District in 1984, graduated from Venus High School, and have always remained a community member. I am here to speak about the miscommunication that is being called, or that as it's being called, that transpired regarding the $1.50 raise to the clerical paraprofessional pay scale. First and foremost, I would like to thank everybody for even considering us for any type of raise, in that I am thankful for anything we receive, especially with this economy. Every little bit helps. So thank you to the school board and the administration for that. Now I will address the miscommunication issue. I'm not angry, I'm not bitter. I just ask that moving forward, we do some things differently. To the administration, I ask that when you are informing your staff of any changes, you go into more detailed information. Most of us do not know the everyday ins and outs of what happens on an administrative level. We do not have finance degrees, so to expect us to understand what clerical paraprofessional pay scales received an hourly increase of $1.50 along with a 2% increase on the midpoint, for us to understand what that means is very puzzling. I also ask that you present items to the board, whether it be about pay or anything that involves our school district, that you are extremely transparent, that how it is going to affect our students, our staff, and our community as a whole. The board members are citizens of this community and have been elected to make decisions for our school and what's in the best interest of them. They too do not know the ins and outs of the everyday district administration. So I believe that they are doing the best that they can with the information that they are given. Finally, in our staff handbook, page 19, under salaries, wages, and stipends, paragraph 2, sentence 1, it reads, all employees will receive written notice of their pay and work schedules before the start of each school year. I did not receive my salary verification sheet until September 13, 2022 at 1:07 p.m. The salary verification is the only written notice that I have received regarding my pay. This is well over a month after the school
Kim.
year has begun.
I'm sorry to cut you off. That's your 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes.
Next up, John Ann Grubbs.
Yes, you got it right. I've learned to answer to whatever they say. Okay, I'd like to introduce myself. Most of you know me. My name is John Ann Grubbs, for those of you that do not know me. And I would like to thank Mr. Hopper for coming over and listening to us Friday. We do appreciate that. And as to the school board, all of you, thank you for your time in hearing our plea. We, the hourly employees of the Venus ISD, give our all each and every day to our schools, students, and administrators. Last year, we were promised a $1.50 an hour raise. Some of us made life-altering choices based on this increase in pay, like buying a house, a car, and even re-signing our lease for another year. Now, many of us are faced with the hard choice: do we continue in our job here at the Venus ISD, get a second job, and in some cases they have to get a third job just to be able to live. They don't want to leave their job because they love their job. We all do. That's why we're here. So that they can afford to live, they may have to get some other kind of employment. All we are asking is for you, our Venus ISD, to deliver on the promises you made to us, because we deliver for you, our Venus ISD, each and every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Jolynn Wise.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk. Mr. Hopper, thank you for taking the time to listen to our concerns. I was told that how the pay raise worked was a miscommunication. Okay, maybe so. This district definitely has a lack of communication, but it's still not right that the new people that are hired with no experience in education or school, only daycare, and they start off at $14.13 an hour, the one that I work with anyway. I have worked with these kids for 10 years, and my pay is only $13.32 an hour. Even if that $1.50 raise was a miscommunication, it was like saying to me that I'm just a warm body in a classroom. My experience doesn't matter. I was also told that the longevity pay helps to offset the pay difference. My understanding was longevity pay was the years and dedication to our job. My longevity pay is only $300 since I had to start over after my special needs son graduated and I took off a year to prepare him for life without school. My coworker makes $1,200 a year more than I do. Please hear us. I love working with these kids and doing everything to prepare them for the world, but enough is enough. I have been looking elsewhere for another job. Do I want to? No, but out of respect for myself, I have to. I hate that it has come to this. And to finish up what someone else was saying, to the school board, if you intended for the clerical paraprofessional raises to be applied the way they were, then I accept that and thank you. However, if you did not intend for the raises to be applied the way that they are, I have a few things to ask of you. I understand that you have jobs that are outside of our district. I would never expect you to understand every minute detail of how the school district operates. I do ask that as you are making decisions that affect our students, community, and staff, you know and understand completely what you are voting on. Please ask questions. Ask administration how and what exactly does this mean to the party in which the topic is addressing. Ask the community and staff questions about how they feel about the things that you are implementing. We elected you to be our voice and to make sure that Venus ISD is the best that it can be. Venus ISD administration and school board, I challenge you to stand behind and live up to our motto: excellent grows here, and each one each day. It not only is expected in our classrooms, but from the top decision makers as well. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to go to item number 6, discussion concerning paraprofessional pay scale.
May I respond, Chet? Yes, sir. First off, ladies, thank you for coming. One of the things I always say is that accountability has got to reign in this district. And if accountability is taking place in this district, that starts at the top. If anybody's accountable, I have to be. So I don't point the finger at anybody but me in this situation. There has been a communication issue, but one of the things that we tried to do with this was to address our salary scales, as I did express to some of you. Our salary scales have needed addressing for some time. But one of the things that we did, and another piece of this district, is we have to have transparency. So that transparency is this. We did work very, very diligently on this, but a big mistake that we made, and I'll say I made, was in taking care of those things and not involving the people that I should have. I should have involved the staff more, certainly should have involved the board more. Last thing I want to do is put them in a situation where, they're having to make last-minute decisions. That's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you, the staff. So we have to do a better job of that, and that comes to me. And so that's where everything stops and starts, is with me. That's my fault, and so I apologize to you. Apologize to our board for putting them in the position where they felt like they had to make a decision quickly. Because the other thing I did was I said, hey, we've got to get this decision made, because we've got to communicate to staff what their raises are going to be. So that put them in an uncomfortable position. They had to make that decision very, very quickly. So it's not that they wanted to do that, but that's a position that I put them in. So that again is my fault. Going forward, we're not through with working on salary scales. In fact, Ms. Hayes gave me in visiting with her, just a smidgen of an idea of things that we need to do with that. But I think we can do even more so than that. Can I make promises to you tonight? I can't. What we did was we extended our raises this past year. We stretched that rubber band about as tight as we could. We've never been able to give the raises that we gave this past year. I sincerely apologize to you for the miscommunication the expectation that you thought you had, as opposed to what was intended from this office. So that will not be happening again. One of the things that we'll be doing this fall and is looking at those salary scales. I will involve you, the staff, in discussing those salary scales. And I will involve, of course, the board in doing the same thing. But before we ever roll out anything else, everybody's going to know what's taking place. Again, that starts at the top, and that's with me. So I take that responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Well, I do want to say that one of the reasons, we put this on here, because like I said, it was of the importance of trying to better understand the confusion that a lot of you had. So I'm hopeful we can address those concerns for you tonight. So you have
I guess what I want to ask was, so did they get their $1.50 and their 2%? I mean,
Question, wait, before we get there, have we moved on to, have we moved on, or are we still?
No, we're on number 6 discussion, yes. No, we haven't moved on.
So the $1.50 was applied to the salary scale, okay? And then the 2%. Am I explaining that right? Okay. Megan, you want to address that?
So when we initially brought everything to the board, we did communicate that the pay scales needed to be addressed, and that this was going to be a work in progress, and that raises were not going to come in one foul swoop. We could not afford to give everybody $1.50, and then the 2% on top of that, and then also increase the pay scales $1.50 as well. That was just not anything that we could afford.
But that's not what was stated to us. It did not come out, we were not giving that. It was told that this is what we're looking at. I know that question was asked many of times to clarify that particular thing, and it was not.
What y'all said was they was gonna get the $1.50 and the 2% raise.
The pay scale was gonna get a $1.50 adjustment, and then off of that was a 2% raise on the midpoint, is what we said.
I just have to say, I know we discussed a lot of this in executive session, which I think was not a great decision. So I hope going forward that we will not do that in executive session. It's all public information that we posted.
those of you that sat in those meetings with us and we went back and forth, and I do say this to the majority of the group, you heard how hard we fought and the opinions that we put forth in that meeting. And I believe to come away to give some of our employees 5 cents, 20 cents, that does not even align with the message that we sat here for 2 nights to put forth. So for that communication to be sent out, I know that all of us in this board meeting discussed it top to bottom, left to right, and for that to be what y'all thought we understood, for us to go and give our employees 5 cents, 20 cents, and not give the $1.50 plus the 2%. I know 3 of us asked it very, very, very specifically in that meeting. I don't think that the way that was communicated, the way that you guys listened to what we had to say, is at all reflected in what we are communicating. So I feel like that y'all didn't hear us in what we were saying. There's no way that any of the thing that we said is translated in this raise that we've given. I think that the miscommunication was done here.
Yeah. Because I know for a fact that I did not, that I just said, okay, hey, it's gonna be 5 cents and that's gonna be okay, because I do remember many people saying we can't let our new people make more than what our existing people are going to make, because that was brought up that was brought up a lot about how we cannot have new people come in making this amount and people that have been here that have given us multiple years, 15, 20, 8, 10, 7, whatever the year is, and we have employees now coming in making more than what they are. So the question is do they resign and come back in a couple of weeks? Do they get the bigger raise because now that they can go in and put everything down? I mean, so I don't see how any of this, like Kirby said, I don't see how any of this was 100% given to us in a correct way, because I know we all sat here and said we cannot have new people coming in making more than our existing people made.
Well, in the first proposal y'all brought to us, I mean, I don't know why y'all would have thought giving somebody a 5 or 10 cent raise would be any good, because the first proposal y'all brought us, all the money went to the people, to the new people, and none to the people that's dug in and stayed here at this school and's been devoted to them, so we didn't go for that. So for y'all to come back the next night, I thought we were on a whole different scale than what I'm seeing we're on now.
So what we brought was an attempt, the main goal was our attempt was to increase the pay scale. We took the starting pay from $16,000 to $18,000, okay? And so then when you raise the pay scale, you then get a brand new midpoint to give a 2% raise from. So if you are at that $16,000, yes, you did come up to the $18,000, right?
But we have some
When-
people.
And when we discuss pay scales, we very specifically focused on teacher pay scales. I don't know that we ever really got into the pay scales as far as the pairs, because we asked very specifically the $1.50 plus the 2%. We spent a lot of time on the teacher pay scales because I know we were trying to make that balance right all across the board. We were trying to give our incoming and our existing. But when we talk about pairs, I think all of us walked away under the, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I would think that we all walked away based off of what everybody was saying, that we were told the $1.50 plus the 2%, not just the pay scale. We knew the teachers, we were kind of trying to stretch that pay scale and that increase, but not with the paras. I don't believe that was given to us accurately. I don't believe that was given to us consistently. We didn't have anything really to compare it to. We were kind of backed into a corner to make a decision, so I feel like that is absolutely reflective here.
But we gave you the old pay scale, and we gave you
the pay scale, yes,
the
and
new
so
pay scale with.
correct. And so when we talked about the pay scale, we assumed, I would think, that when we asked the question about the $1.50, is that the pay scale was going to affect all of our paras, that we were going to move them all forward and bring the other ones in making the $1.50. It doesn't make any sense to have a 15-year employee making less than a first-year employee.
So
That is unacceptable.
So I think it's very clear that one of the things that we all want to do is reward our people who have been here the longest. I mean, we've got a lot of people, and these folks back here, I don't know what our combined years are, but it's pretty impressive. Do what?
It's probably 50
So-
between, there's 50 between two of them, and I
So-
don't know how long the last one's been here, but.
One of the things that we can do, and I just visited with Chad about it just a little bit, but that we might want to consider as we go forward is maybe just trading out the pay scale for our non-exempt employees altogether and just simply going steps. In other words, year 1, year 2, year 3, and it's very straightforward. Other districts have done something similar. We don't want to have this discussion again. We don't want to have discussions about any misunderstandings about this. That's a very straightforward thing to do. So that's something that we can do going forward. But what we absolutely will do going forward is that we will have in-depth discussions about this along the way and leading up to. So nobody wants to have a misunderstanding about this. It's people's livelihood. And so we all take that very, very seriously. Every person on this board takes that very seriously. And once again, I apologize to you guys for doing this in such a way that, number one, it had to be done expediently, it had to be done quickly, or at least that's what we were trying to do. And the fact that there was not as much clarity as we needed on this. So again, I think that this is something that as we attach our values to this, in other words, we value our people that have been here a long time, not just in a longevity pay, but if we can do that through our pay structure, then that's certainly what we want to do. So everything at this point, as far as I'm concerned, is on the table as far as moving forward with that. So I appreciate the work the board does with this, and I know the sweat and the toil that you put into it. And so we want to make sure that everything is done with absolute clarity.
Okay,
You got it. She got it for you.
okay, you good?
Yep.
Okay, I was under the impression, because the board asked multiple times, is this for everybody? I mean, and a couple times y'all say, well, it's gonna hit this one because they were off the scale, or we moved this one from a different position, but on the paraprofessionals, the teachers, that question was asked over and over. And what I'm kind of gathering is that it did affect everybody differently. That we have some that got nickel raises and we had some that got bigger ones. But I mean, to me, it's really, I wish we could look at it, really look at it, somehow, because to me, a nickel raise is really an insult. It's kind of like tipping somebody a penny.
I might give it back.
What's that?
I might give it back, 'cause they might need it worse than I did, but.
Yeah, I mean, and then that was the first comment I wanted to make. The second comment is, I was working off of this agenda, and this is not the agenda we're working off of. Can I get a current agenda or updated agenda? Because this does not have that item on it.
Is it in your folder? Is it in your folder right there?
Which folder?
The one right there on top?
I did not see it, but it might still be there.
Can I look in your folder, Mr. Hoffman? I skipped it.
Mr. Hopper, I guess what Mr. Hoffman is asking, can this be put on an agenda item to revisit this? Or in a workshop, or you guys in the finance department work and bring something back to the board at a fairly quick future meeting, and let's resolve this?
Yes, sir.
I do know that night we asked specifically, so everybody gets the $1.50 raise, and we were told yes. I know that 100%. It wasn't just talking about the pay scale. We had asked specifically. So everybody gets $1.50, and that's exactly how I asked it, just like that, so I know I said it.
I said it too. Because me has been a paraprofessional, I know the pay that is there, and I know that giving just that little bit that's there, that doesn't make anything. I mean,
But-
it.
and I
mean,
agree
how
with
would you
Joe.
feel- I mean, it's just like if we came back and asked anybody, you know, how would you feel if you made $200 for a raise this year? That's all you get. Even though you've come up here 187 days and you've been here and you've done it, but you get $200. I mean, that $200 divided by 187 days divided by.
you everything that we could afford to do.
Which I get that, but the question was asked, so everybody's getting the $1.50 raise, right?
Well,
Yes,
it's-
except for the ones who were at the top of their pay scale.
Well, let's,
Scale was gonna get a $1.50 raise and then a 2% increase.
well, let's do this if we could. Joe, I appreciate the point that you brought up. Let us go back to the drawing board on this. Let's see what we can do with that in 1 month. And come back and address this. Because, I mean, you know, again, I always tell the administrators, if I'm ever doing something going down the wrong path, and you tell me, you're my best friend, because I want to be right. I want to be right. And that doesn't mean that I'm always right. What that means is sometimes I do have to get back on the path. But if you see that I'm going down the wrong path and you don't tell me, that's a whole different story. So we will take a look at this, Joe, and we'll bring something back to the board in a month. Okay? Thank you, ladies. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you speaking tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. That's good. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go on to item number 7, presentation of annual Venus ISD property tax turnover report by Linebarger Attorney at Law, Mr. Charles Brady.
Is that working? Okay, that sounds good. All right, we've got a few new folks. Just wanted to kind of run through this on an uninitiated level. Essentially, the way that it works is that your bill for your taxes goes out in October, and if you don't pay those taxes by the end of January, they go delinquent. And if they continue to be delinquent for an additional 6 months after that, on July the 1st of the following year, then a penalty is added on of 15%, and that penalty is what's used to pay us. So our service to the district doesn't cost the district any money at all. We prosecute these lawsuits, and we try to collect money on behalf of the district. We do a good job of that. And this is kind of a recap of how last year went from July of 2021 all the way to the very end of June in 2022. Now, one thing that I will say is that last year, y'all turned over about a little over $150,000 of taxes for us to collect that were from the 2020 year. And we collected base tax and as well as penalty and interest collections, $218,465. And we collected $171,690 of just base tax. So I feel like that's a real good number. We collected what was delinquent plus a whole bunch more. And that goes towards the TEA numbers, which I'll get into a little bit later, because your collection percentages of delinquent taxes are important when the Texas Education Association is making a determination of your local funding. But we're very happy with that number. There is a base tax refund there of $34,726, and what that is people that pay their taxes in full, but then say, hey, you know, I've been charged too much, and they go through the appraisal review board process, and they get that knocked down. And when that happens, then the district owes them refunds back. This is actually a very low number. There's a lot of districts around here that have large-scale employers like the cement plants up the road, or the large-scale, you know, sort of metal manufacturers that they have in Alvarado. And when you get $6 million worth of taxes from one company and then have to pay them back $2 million of it because they've argued their values successfully, that's a game changer for you as a district. $34,000 we can handle. You know, we don't budget for that money anyway, from what I understand, which is a good deal. So when you get any of it back at all, That's wonderful. It's a very conservative way of looking at it. It's a good deal. If you'll notice, this is kind of how we do this. It's no secret. A lot of times around here, we send out lots of letters and we make phone calls, and when that doesn't work, we file lawsuits. And I really don't like to do that because it's expensive and because it really breaks into somebody's life. But that's the best that we can do. And between July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, there's 43 accounts filed. All 43 of those accounts, we sent multiple letters, tried multiple things, tried to call, tried to do everything that we could possibly do to avoid the situation, and it just didn't happen. Good thing is that we had 23 of those lawsuits resolved, 11 because they were paid in full, and then we've got suits in judgment of 4, and 11, we've got 8 suits that were ready for non-suit, which means that they've paid the court costs and everything else involved as well. That's a good number. I think that we're getting better response from people. This has always been a district. I've been working here since 2007. This has always been a district where I've had to file lots and lots and lots of lawsuits in order to get the type of results that we needed so that the district can get the money that it needs. I've had to do less and less of that as it goes on, and I think that it's because we're changing more from a rural environment to more of a suburban type environment. I think there's a lot of folks moving in that have that mindset and that type of income. We did set 7 properties in the Venus ISD for sale last year. All of them were resolved prior to us actually having to sell them. That I really like. I really hate dispossessing people of their properties. And it's a better idea when they can get them paid. There's your top 25 accounts. We don't put that in there to call anybody to the dance floor. We just want everybody to know how that is. You'll notice that there's deferrals on there. A good portion of the money that's owed to the district is in deferrals, which means that a person is either over 65 or a fully disabled veteran. And what that means is when you're over 65, if you want to quit paying taxes on your house, you can go ahead and claim a deferral. And it doesn't mean that the interest isn't going to go on there, but it goes from 13% to 8%. And you claim a deferral through the appraisal district. And so long as you're over 65, you own the home. You can't file a deferral on a lease. You own the home and you're using it as your primary residence. Or if you're infirmed, if you're at a convalescence home and you intend to return to that home, you can still have a deferral on the house, so long as your intention is to come back. So you do have a lot of deferrals there, just like everybody else seems to. But if you'll notice, we've really been going after business, personal property accounts, trying to help people out on the front end of those kinds of issues, and I'll get more into that and how successful that's been here in a little bit. But if you'll notice there at the end of that top 25 list, there is 2019, 2020, and 2021 TEA collection percentages. The TEA wants you at 98% in order to ensure full funding from the Texas Education Association, and last year with penalty and interest, y'all were at 100.43. That's a very good number. I'm very, very happy with that. So that's kind of the base analysis, and here's the analysis for next year. Now, well, for the collection cycle that we're in now, because in July 1st of this year, last year's taxes, the 2021s were turned over to us. And if you'll notice, 21 fewer accounts were turned over for us to collect, but in that, there's an increase of value in over $90,000. So it is fewer accounts, but the accounts that got turned over to us are higher in value, and that's going to be very indicative of what's going on all throughout the area. Property's just worth more. And appraisal district disputes are going to be more the norm in this area, and for anybody that calls into our office, I can't coach them through the process, but I can certainly tell them to go to the appraisal district and to find that out for themselves. I don't want anybody to be charged taxes that they're not owed. And if they're given the opportunity to argue that and come out a little bit ahead, I think that that's better. But look at the increase in dollars. It's $85,127. That's the highest I've ever seen it go from one year to the next. So that's interesting, to say the least. That's interesting. On the next page, the base tax accounts that are owed are $801,569. Now, there's a lot of deferral in there. There's a lot of everything. There's the clean accounts at $186,309. Those are folks that are in payment agreements with us. There's this bad address, and we do need to put together a bad address. We're going to start up a research. I've got 2 folks working on that. I don't like that number. That number's too high. There's uncollectible taxes and things that are in bankruptcy that we can't touch. Bankruptcy is a completely different thing. When they file bankruptcy, we have to work through the bankruptcy trustee in order to get the district paid that way. And we do have a really great bankruptcy department in our Dallas office that I work very directly with. And most of what is owed to the district, the overwhelming majority, is in lawsuit status. You know, we're moving litigation. That is basically the major push. Now, there is one thing that I will show y'all, and this is in the second to last page. Property types by base tax only. You'll notice that. So when I first got here, there were lots and lots and lots of mobile home and business personal property account debts that were on there. And I made it pretty much the mission of my professional life to get that lower, to either help these folks through the appraisal district, because there were all kinds of mobile homes that people were getting taxed on that didn't exist anymore, that had been sold. So a lot of that didn't come as a result of collections. Getting that number lower sometimes just meant, hey, you have to prove to the appraisal district that you sold it. And then the money gets wiped off of there, and then the district, y'all, have a much more realistic expectation of what you can expect to come in. So we have been working with folks in that way, and that mobile home number has really, really gone down significantly. The business personal property number has also gone down significantly, and I don't like for that number to be high, because if you're taxing a bunch of stuff, like trucks or whatever, it can leave the taxing jurisdiction, and with it comes our ability to get the district its money. So that's the lowest thing there. And of course, we do have some mineral production in this part of the county, but not much. There are some people that are getting royalty interest. That real property number there, that $605,687, is all money that we will collect at some point, because it is attached to land and it's attached to homes. And those folks, we are working day in and day out to try and get them into payment plans and to work with us and to do everything like that. And like I said, we've set 7 for sale last year, and we didn't have to sell them. And this is the kind of thing that we want people to do. We want the expectation in the community to be that we don't want to do this, but we will. And that this is an obligation, and we need for you to live up to it. But very successful collection year for taxes. I think that we've done a real good job. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But it looks real good for y'all.
Thank you, Charles.
Oh, you're very welcome, Mr. President.
I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate it.
Oh yeah, you know, and if I can help out with anything, I'll be here whenever you need me. I mean, I live just right over there. So
Absolutely.
Be fine. All right. May I be excused, sir?
Yes, you may.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a blessed evening.
You too.
All right.
Okay, we're going to item number 8, presentation of special education audit report. Lonsford,
I'm here.
all right.
Thank you, guys. So we'll do a brief review of our program review.
Can I-
Can go on to the, go
Ma'am,
ahead.
If you don't mind, one of the things that we always want to do is have different programs reviewed, whether annually or every 2 years, whatever it is, and it just kind of it serves to keep us accountable in all of our areas. So we contacted Region 11 to do this for us. They did, and one of the things about that was we wanted it done quickly, and they did so. So they sat down with us. This is sort of like taking a look in a mirror. When you take a look in the mirror, you've got some things to adjust after you've done so. And if you walk away without adjusting, you've wasted your time. So we certainly have some things to adjust, and Jennifer is going to talk about those tonight.
Go ahead and move on to the next slide. Just wanted to start with our primary focus continues to remain the people, programs, and processes for us to continue addressing all of the time and improve on as we move on. And then the next slide has our 5 areas of finding and recommendations. We had administrative cohesiveness, our process and expectations, instructional support, behavior and discipline support, and early childhood special education. With the first 2 areas, we've provided some targeted training already, and the next 3 we will continue to target through trainings and the strategic planning process with our partnership with Region 11. But bottom line, across all areas of the finding and recommendations, we want to make sure we establish and have firm structures in place that are implemented with consistency throughout the district from campus to campus. That way transitions are smooth, not only for students, but parents, and our staff can go to any campus and know what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it. On the next slide, I don't want to read everything to you, but going with our continuous improvement plan and a strategic approach to addressing all of the different finding areas, here are some of the actions, and I believe even since this was put out, there have been some adjustments to our strategic approach. So these are just some of the activities that have already occurred and that will continue to occur throughout the year. And some of these may continue to change through our strategic planning process with Region 11 and collaboration with other district and campus staff members. Are there any questions? So we're doing more training, is what you're saying? So we've done more training starting this year?
Absolutely.
We've done more training.
We've done more training already this year, and we'll continue to as we continue to address areas that we're doing well and other areas that we need to continue to improve in.
So as we take each one of these, can you bring it back down just a little bit in size? Thank you, Liz. So the administrator cohesiveness, one of the things that, and we've met with not only Region 11, but also Jennifer and I have talked, and we have had all of our principals in the room as well. And one of the things that's absolutely essential in this process, all of our processes, but you know, our students who are taking advantage of our special ed program need to receive the very best we have. And so in doing so, our administrators, we've got to be all on the same page. So when I go from one campus to the next, that cohesiveness has got to be there. So there's a lot of detail in the report that you have in your packet on administrator cohesiveness. The next one is ARD processes and expectations. So the ARD process, if you're not careful, it can get out of hand. And it's simply a matter of everybody in that ARD meeting. That's admission, review, and dismissal. That's what the ARD process is. It's simply a matter of everybody in on that ARD process, in those ARD meetings, knows what their role is, and they're performing it. And when they walk into those ARD meetings, they know why they're there, and they know also that student, and they know what they have to provide for that student. So the ARD processes and expectations are something that we're hitting very hard as well. Instructional support, of course, taking care of what's actually taking place with those kids in the classroom, whether it's an inclusion situation or a life skills situation, that instructional support is addressed in here as well. Behavior and discipline support. So what we have to do there is make sure that we take into consideration this child's condition that put them in that program in the first place, that we are understanding that. So when we do things like it's known as an MDR, so when we go in there and talk about, well, what happened in this particular case to this child? Why did they have this behavior? And was it a manifestation of their particular condition? And so we have to be consistent in that. We have to make sure that what we're deciding in that MDR on this campus is the same thing that we would do on that campus. And that consistency is very, very key. And the last one down there is early childhood special ed, that we make sure that these kids are taken care of just as much as the others. Now, one of the things that we talked about in our meeting was this, and this, a lot of people don't think of it in this way, but a student who is taking advantage of a special ed program, they're not a special ed kid. They're a kid who's in a program. There's a student who is in a program. They're not a special ed kid. Because the idea is once you get in that program, we're working on the idea that you could potentially actually work yourself out of that program. That's the idea behind special ed. Does it always happen? No. Does it even happen the majority of the time? Probably not. But that is our goal, that is our aim. If we can give these kids tools to where they can actually function much, much better because they were in our program, we've done our job. So that's what we're doing with this continuous improvement strategic approach. And what I suggested we do also is that we come back a year from now and reassess how did we do this year in putting together our continuous improvement plan. Have I left anything out, Jennifer?
I don't think so. I was just going to say, and with the ARD process too, there's so much that goes into the IEP development before the ARD process and then even after with the implementation pieces that we're also focused on. So that, you summed it up very well. Thank you.
So I have a question. So when it comes to, I know you said we're training more, but are we also training just the teachers, or are we training where the paras get to come in and figure out, are we just training the teachers and expecting the teachers to train, or are we doing a combined, or are we doing any of that?
All of that combination. We're not only with our special education staff, teachers and paraprofessionals, but also our general educators as well.
Yeah, that was one of my, then she touched on that, that was one of my concerns, was making sure it was all
Everyone.
around, all encompassing on the training part of it.
It is.
And
Good question.
Also, on the report that you guys have given us, is that the report that came from Region 11, or is it condensed down?
That's a report that came from Region 11.
Okay.
What, like one of the things that, you know, for me was on doing this audit was something that I've even wanted to do long ago, but I do want to make sure that as we, because the special ed program is really important. We got to do things right, and we've got to be consistent throughout. And one of the things I'd like to be able to do is do this on a regular basis. Do this, you know, every few years. Go back through, look at all our processes. Are we following everything to the T as we should? And can we do better? We can always improve.
Absolutely.
So.
And then laws change as well, so we have to
Yeah.
readjust and update procedures as well annually.
Yes.
So if I might say so, yeah, and this is something that Chad brought up to me, I guess it's been a couple of years now, about just ongoing review of all of our programs like that. You know, don't wait for something to go sour before we check on it. And it's exactly what it is. It's simply an audit, and that's a good way to do business.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you. We're going to go to item number 9, presentation of 2022-2023 student outcome goals and their associated growth progress measures, superintendent's constraints, and board constraints.
Okay, these are the ones that we adopted recently. And probably the most significant thing that we did was the goal progress measures on the student outcome goals. If we could take a look at the first one, we're going to increase third graders who score meets or above in reading from 26% to 45% by June 24. But in the progress measures, at least 60% of all students in grades K through 3 will meet or exceed expected growth in MAP reading. At least 90% of students in Tier 3 reading intervention in grades K through 3 will meet or exceed their expected growth in MAP reading. I'm not going to go down necessarily and read each one of these, but basically you can see that we're addressing the students in their MAP growth. We're also addressing students not just in our Tier 1, but also our Tier 3 students. Down on student outcome goal 3, the career and college military readiness, and that's where we looked at 95% of 10th and 11th grade students participate in college prep exam. 95% of 8th grade students will participate in TSIA, and 50% of eligible students enrolled in courses that lead to industry-based certifications. We did go ahead and add a couple of them too, numbers 4 and 5. And what we did there is on number 4, decrease the gap between the percentage of student ISD, of Venus ISD students in grade 6 that score meets or above. So what we're talking about here is closing those gaps. And that's one of the areas that we were very concerned about. And so that's about reading. And the student outcome goal number 5 is addresses math in the same way. So it's not just 3rd grade. These are things that are going to address all of our students. The very next one is superintendent constraints. And we did add a few things in there. Superintendent shall not allow adults to fail in using continuous improvement practices in the pursuit of excellence. And this is something that our administrators have taken on full throttle. So I'm going to be working collaboratively with principals, as it says. We're going to be properly implementing policies and procedures, exhibiting professionalism toward parents and all others. Now, that's one of the things that we've addressed along with these others. One of the things that we talk about is partnering with parents, and we take that seriously. And so our campuses will be doing that as well as this building. Superintendent's time management will reflect prioritization of executive responsibilities. There's a lot going on in this building. I need to make sure we're taking care of it. The next one talks about principals and accountability there. And the last one on there talks about initiatives and practices will be developed in collaboration with applicably representative faculty and staff. It's sort of the situation we were talking about earlier, involving faculty and staff in something even as salaries and things. And the next one on there, initiatives and practices will be developed in collaboration with the board. Same issue. So, and you can see the rest of that. But everybody's accountable in this district, and the last page on there says school board constraints. School board will not make changes to board operating procedures more than once per year, and the board will not perform or appear to perform any responsibilities delegated to the superintendent, and board members avoid speaking on behalf of the entire board without prior knowledge and or approval of the board. So everybody's accountable in this district, all the way up to superintendent and the board. So those are our student outcome goals, superintendent constraints, and board constraints.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to item number 10, presentation of student growth performance update. Mr. Morgan, okay, there you are.
All right, so as part of our accountability procedures, we're required to make sure that we present all student assessment results. We have been over STAR results and EOC results ever since they came out in May, but there are 2 smaller assessment pieces that we want to go over real quick to make sure that we all know what the results are. So the first one is going to be STAR Alternate 2. STAR Alternate 2 is an alternate test that's provided by the state for students who are in the special education program and have the severest of cognitive disabilities. So these are students that would typically be like in a self-contained SPED classroom. So if you take a look, you can look at the breakdown by content. So reading, math, science, and social studies. Overall, we had just a few tests. So for reading, we had 18 tests. Math, we gave 17 tests. Science, we gave 5 tests. And social studies, we gave 4. So the way that the scale works is a little different than your traditional STAR. It's not approaches meets masters. We do developing, satisfactory, and accomplished. Satisfactory and accomplished would be what we would consider approaches or meets. So overall, students did very, very well. Anything that you see up there that is in the blue is going to be satisfactory, and the green is going to be accomplished, which would be your masters. So anything in the blue or green is what we would consider passing. And this is just an overall view of the district. So any questions there? All right.
Who takes that test?
This is the students that are in special education, and these are the ones with the severest cognitive disabilities. So they could be, we have nonverbal students that take it. They take it one-on-one with a special education professional, and each test looks a little bit different for each student. That's why you see that we only have 19 students that took it in the district. This is because these are those students that are in a self-contained classroom, usually with a one-on-one special education professional, and the test looks very, very different than it would in like a normal classroom. All right, so we're going to move on now. The next one we're going to look at is TELPAS. So TELPAS is your Texas assessment of the English language. So these are for your students that have limited English proficiency, the students that have a home language or a first language that is other than English. And the overall results right here, this is not really a pass or fail kind of test. This is more literally a measure of how well that they speak the English language. So this is not academic. This is how well they communicate in English. They are assessed in 4 areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So overall in the district, we had 614 students that were required to participate in the test. You can take a look at the colors, the breakdown. Beginning, that would be your beginning, very basic English language proficiency, very hard for them to communicate. Intermediate, they're learning a little bit. Advanced high. In order to exit the program, students do have to be rated advanced high in all 4 areas, which changed from a few years ago. So now they have to, all 4 areas: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So if you can scroll down a little bit for me. I'm not going to go over each grade, but you can kind of take a look. I did separate it by school. You can see primary and elementary. You'll notice that obviously as students come in kindergarten, especially students that have a home language of Spanish, we have quite a few students that are still in that beginning stage. And then you can see the progression as they go through grade by grade, as they're in school longer, as they are receiving some of those ESL supports and bilingual supports and scaffolding. Then you can see how we have more students that go from beginning, then into intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. So you can see that first little band of that lighter purple, how it gets smaller as the grades go on. Obviously, we have new students that may come in from out of district and may come in from out of country even. A lot of times we have a lot of out of country students who come straight from a country a non-English speaking country. But overall, you can see as they progress, and then if you'll scroll down a little bit more for me. And this is in high school. So the white right there is not assessed, usually because they weren't ours during the window. But everything else, you can see that the colors are the same. So the lighter purple is your beginning, and then as the colors get darker, that's how they are progressing in their English language proficiency.
So I have a question. So looking at this, like 12th grade, wouldn't we think that first purple would be non-existent pretty much?
We would. That's a new to country student.
Okay.
We have a lot in the high school. So if they can come straight from us from Mexico, Colombia, El Salvador, any of those places. And we're required to assess them as if they come in speaking anything other than English, we're required to assess them. We have quite a few, maybe not a few, but we have, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but we do have a few at the high school right now. And they do come in as seniors. And so then we're required to assess them until they graduate. It, however, does not impede them from graduating. So they do not have to exit this program before they're allowed to graduate. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. Let's go to item number 11, discussion concerning policy, CNA local hazardous traffic conditions in high-risk areas. House?
One of the things that we have to do is to adopt a board-driven policy, and that's why I wanted to introduce it to you tonight, in the fact that, due to the fact that we transport our students within the 2-mile guidelines, we have to identify as a district and as a school board what we consider hazardous road conditions. And it's not an extensive diagram, simply because we all know 157 is a hazardous road condition. We don't necessarily have sidewalks for our students to track between home and school. The same thing with the railroad tracks. We do have students that have to cross the railroad tracks. All of those parameters fall under the hazardous road conditions, and that's just why I wanted to bring this out to you tonight as we look at this, and I'll put together some parameters for you to look at moving forward till we can formally put together a resolution, because we have to identify specifically what we consider in that ramification.
Would one of those obviously be the new property we have off of 67? That would be considered, part of that?
Well, and that's the situation, is the only thing that we have to currently look at, eventually, yes, but based on our current conditions of where our students travel and where the schools that they attend, is where they crossing the road. Yes, we do have a crossing guard down here on 157, but we have to look specifically and say 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th, all those different thoroughfares that our kids could possibly track over a dangerous road condition as it's currently presented. Any other questions?
No, I mean, outside of you just have to be you have to be
Yes,
specific.
you have to be specific in the identification. For example, the street that has the crossing guard wouldn't necessarily be considered a hazardous road condition, because we have someone there that will stop traffic and walk the students across the street. Now, some of those others that we have between here and the square, we'll have to identify those as a hazardous road condition, as well as the railroad tracks crossing, because it's not a protected crosswalk.
Is there a time frame you have to have this to us, or this resolution? I mean, something
Yes.
for us? I mean,
Yes. I just wanted to introduce it to you tonight so you have some familiarity, because this is something that came up most recently. And so, due to the fact that we do transport all of our kids, even within a 2-mile radius of their school, we have to identify those thoroughfares that could be considered hazardous.
We'll be able to do this in October, won't we?
Yes. I will put together and work with Chief Wood and have specific identified streets. There you go. And we'll put this together, and we'll pass the resolution in the October board meeting.
All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to item number 12, consider approval of out-of-state travel for Venus High School athletic team. This would be the basketball team, correct? Yes, sir.
Folks, this is
Coach Gilbert, yeah.
I was just going to introduce you. It's Coach Gober. So go for it, Coach.
I posted a game. We had an empty game slot on our schedule, so I posted it on our state website, thinking I'd get a Texas team that replied. Instead, I got a guy from Missouri. He's the head coach at Glendale High School in Springfield. They host a shootout there yearly. This will be the 10th year they've done it. I didn't think we would be invited. The only teams from Texas that have been are Duncanville, North Crowley, some state championship 6A type teams. And so I was like, are you sure? Kind of started talking to them a little bit. They offer to pay for 6 hotel rooms for each night you're there. They pay for every meal while you're there. It's December 8th through 10th, so we would miss 2 days of school, a Thursday and a Friday, and then we return on a Saturday. Oklahoma happens to be playing Arkansas in Tulsa, which could be on the path home on the 10th. One of my ex-players from Waxahachie plays for Oklahoma, and we would be able to go to that game and see a Division I game for someone who's played for me, kind of like put a face to look, things are possible for me too. I think that would be a good experience. While we were there, kind of just started working on some of it. Ms. Grew and Mr. Hopper kind of looked at some restaurants. Lambert's is a place that's there that's really popular, really famous, something that the kids will never probably get to do outside of a trip like this. And then also they have a Route 66 car museum that was fairly inexpensive that I thought would be something that would teach the kids and show the kids something outside of basketball while we're there as well. You'd only play 2 games. It's not a tournament, so it wouldn't go into our 3 tournaments. We'd play a Thursday and a Friday, which abides by UIL rules of only playing 1 game during a school week. Our only cost would be the going to the OU game, the museum, possibly the dinner at Lambert's, and a meal there and a meal back. Because we've looked into it with transportation on the, we could take a bus. It's a 7.5-hour drive. It would be 3 coaches, one of which is CDL certified, and he is CDL certified to drive out of state. So he would be able to drive, which we'd also talked about taking an extra administration or extra coach teacher with us as someone just there as an extra adult to have, since the 3 of us are all new to the district as well. It would be about 15 students, and that would be something that's they'd have to earn that right to go on that trip. If their grades are poor, not only, for me personally, I would want it to be not only if they're failing and ineligible to play, but if their current grade is failing, they don't need to miss 2 days of school. And I think it's something we could use to keep them accountable and stay on path to doing what they want to do, because I don't think any of them are going to want to miss out on something like that. And I think just as a school, like Mr. Camacho was talking about, school pride, school spirit, I think that's something to be proud of for our students. It's something to want to be a part of, not just basketball, but athletics and the school in general. There's a lot. I'm walking around the halls and you hear kids go, "How bad y'all get beat?" or "How bad are we?" I can't stand that. I want to hear like, "Dang, y'all are going to Missouri." Like, I want to be a part of that. That's the kind of stuff I'm used to hearing, and that's the stuff that makes this job fun to do for us. So I'm just requesting the approval to be able to do that. And if you have any questions about it, if I have the answer, I'll give it to you. If I don't, I will definitely find it.
Is this men's or women's?
Men's.
I have a question. So instead of 1 big bus, do we have Suburbans that they could maybe take 2, 3? Would it be cheaper than the bus?
We mentioned that. I don't know how much the school bus would cost. I looked into charter buses, and I'd be open to working through donations to do it, but those are quite expensive going that far. And so I was trying to minimize the cost as much as possible. The Suburbans, my only concern was it's more vehicles on the road. I didn't want to take a chance of more chances of a wreck. You know, that was my only concern with it. But I'm open to anything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, even if it was a bus or one of the smaller buses, if we had the flexibility to give up a bus during those 2 days, you know, if that didn't cause any disruptions with her current routes and what have you, then, yeah, I personally, you know, this is something that, you know, I think is worthwhile for the kids. I mean, I've looked in the years past, you know, looking for things like our kids to, you know, get out and you know, associate with, you know, even if it's out of state or, you know, far outside of our area, you know, whether it's Austin or San Antonio, to get out and do some of these tournaments. And I think, you know, we've had some opportunities in the past, but like I said, just haven't been able to do it. But I think that this would be something that would be beneficial to the kids, because like I said, it really gets them really kind of stoked up when.
For sure. I mean, it got me excited because I wasn't expecting it, you know, and it's like, oh, wait, and it's paid for? Okay, sounds good to me. So.
Yeah, and like I said, it all comes back down to what's it going to cost, you know, and that's the hard part where we got to kind of look at and see, you know, is it something we can do? So, but yeah, definitely. Do we have any, you know, kind of rough numbers of what the trip might cost, or?
Well, the biggest question of that is the mode of transportation.
Yeah. Yes, and that would be the meal on the way there, meal on the way back, possibly 1 meal while we're there, because I don't know that the tournament's going to pay for our meals. The dinner at Lambert's, I don't know for sure if they would cover something like that, or if it's specific to the restaurants that sponsor their tournament or what it is. Those would be the 3 meals, and then the means of transportation. And even the OU game and stuff, I don't want that to cost the district a penny. between our basketball budget and some donors, I think we could easily cover those. The tickets for the OU game, they were $10 a piece, so if we had 20 kids, it's $200. So
We'll work on those tickets too.
yeah.
So can we do fundraisers? Is there a way that we can do fundraisers?
I'm definitely open to fundraisers. It just has to be approved by Mr. Camacho. And
Would that come under athletics too, or would it be basketball having, so how does that work with it being, yeah?
Through the Booster Club? I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Would we need to go through the booster club, or would we need to do,
that might
could
be
you do
yes.
your own fundraiser for basketball?
That would be something I'd probably speak with Mr. Camacho about because I don't know for sure.
Just saying yes.
Okay, then yeah. I'm more than willing to do it.
We've discussed it. I think we just need to sit down and look at numbers and see which way is gonna work best for kids and which way is gonna work out best for the basketball program as well in the long run. Because it's one trip, but we have the rest of the season in basketball.
For sure.
We need to sit down and crunch numbers.
I'll make a motion that we approve for them to go to the out-of-state, Missouri trip.
Okay, I got a motion by Amber and a second by Kirby. All in favor? Motion
Thank you
carries.
all. I appreciate it. I think the kids will really enjoy it.
Oh,
I'll
absolutely.
come with you.
I knew you would.
Do it
I
the
got-
same weekend so we can all go.
Legacy is going as well too, so my neighbor right down the street will be there.
Awesome.
Thank
you, Coach. Okay, we're gonna go to item number 13, consent agenda. Anybody have anything on the consent agenda they want to pull out, or is it make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, I got a motion by Greg, second by Tasha. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, I'm gonna go to item number 14, consider adoption of the proposed Hill College tax rate. Schwartz?
So this is the notice that you received last month. Nothing has changed. We are requesting, or Hill College is requesting the rate of 0.039827, which is a reduction from last year's rate of 0.04. So that's that.
I make a motion that we approve that tax rate.
Okay, I got a motion by Greg. Second by, Joe, did you say something? Second by Joe. All in favor? Motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, Ms. One. All right. All right, so we're gonna go to item number 15, consider approval of unemployment insurance renewal.
This is also the standard TASB unemployment insurance renewal. Again, a slight reduction in the yearly cost from $17,000 to $16,000.
I'll make a motion that, we approve the unemployment insurance. I'll second.
Okay, got a motion by Amber and a second by Tasha. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, on to item number 16, consider approval of budget amendment to facilities from general fund.
Now, this is the one involving the utilities, is that correct? Is that right, Megan?
Sir?
Is this the one on about utilities? It is. Yeah.
Yes, and the new figures are in your blue book, I believe is what Liz said.
Okay. What she's referring to is that you were, originally in your packet, you were given a sheet that would just simply had a typo on it, okay? There was a 4 missing, and a 4 that was supposed to have been in a pretty significant place. So, anyway, I'll let you explain that.
Right, and so we also, so it was on the Plumco, it was, supposed to be 42,000, not 4,000. So, also, there are other quotes in here, in regards to fiber, is that right, Ronnie? Is that the fiber that's also coming into the SPED portable?
So what we're
Okay.
talking about here is the new portable that we're putting in over here, and like we said, we knew we'd be, the SPED funds paid for the portable billing itself, we knew that we'd be having to use some of our fund balance to take care of the utilities. And so, what we've got here is, paving, we have TFE as far as installing fiber. We have our decks, and one of the things that we did, with our other portables, in our decking is that instead of putting down just wood on the flooring, we've used that composite, stuff. It's a little bit more expensive, but it also doesn't warp, and so it doesn't create trip hazards and things like that. NEMA 3 electric, and the plumbing, also are, both of those are approved by our city as far as the getting the permits running. So, so that's there also. Sidewalks, just a little bit of flat work on that. And then we have fire alarms that have to go into that. And then we have TFE. Now, one of those, that you see TFE down there twice, one of those is for installing fiber in the new portables at the campuses, and one is for the SPED building. So that pretty well summarizes all that, doesn't it? Okay, so there are a few things that were in there that were not in the original packet, but the other thing was there was simply a typo on the plumbing the first time around. So this proposed action is to use $192,560.20. Actually, that's not correct.
It's 200,000.
It's just at level 200,000 to go from fund balance to cover all of this. We currently have had already in there 40,000, and that was just simply what we had, budgeted in there for unexpected things, and so didn't really want to touch that necessarily because, again, that's for unexpected things. So that's what that 200,000 is. Anything I've left out?
So you said so on the paving, it says, the one that we just sent out says 21,410, and then on the new one it says 31,000. Why did it go up so much?
Ronnie, you want to address that?
21 was 6 inches of road base with some crushed asphalt on top, so kind of a dust pile to keep the dust flying. And then if we wanted to actually put 2 inches of hot mix on it, it would add 72 to it.
Yeah.
Is this gonna have the crushed asphalt, or is this gonna have hot mix?
It'll be hot.
It'll be hot mix, yeah. Okay. And for how many cars? 20 cars? Okay. It'll be out in front of the building?
The parking will be behind us. We use the drive approach at the building.
Yes, sir.
There'll be a road going between the elementary and the building.
Yes, sir.
And it'll curve into it. We'll have to put a culvert in. You cross that low crossing there, and then there'll be the parking area right behind it.
Is are we gonna have to put any particular type of culvert? Is the city gonna require a certain, is it gonna be concrete, culvert, corrugated steel? That's why I was wondering if we would just be able to get by. Right.
portables at the middle school and high school?
It's not installed yet.
Okay.
That's, yeah. Have we got the fire alarms put in there yet, Ronnie? The new portables? So all we're waiting on is fiber.
We have 9.4 with the first drawdown of 255,000 that we got for the first 2 portables. And then with this other $200,000 drawdown, it would leave us about 8.9 million.
And we, our 3 months operating is about 6 million.
Yes.
To give you a little bit of context.
Really, the largest expenditure we have for this budget year is really just this and those portables, so, but we don't have them yet.
I can't think of anything
I
else.
can't
We
think
also have the police, all of that, security.
What's else?
When Chief Woods hires whoever he anticipates, we'll have that expenditure to draw down as well.
Okay.
Wait, have we ever seen anything new on that, or what?
That's what we're talking about. Well, we'll get there, Jeff.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
To, consider approval of budget amendment to facilities from general fund?
Yes, anybody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to consider.
Okay,
approval.
got a motion by Kirby,
Say,
second by Gerald. All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, going on to item number 17, consider approval of budget amendment concerning child care relief fund disbursements.
So
Schwartz?
this is for Tammy's Texas Workforce Grant. This is probably, I think, the second installment that she's received. All we're doing is we are taking this from the revenue, putting it into the expenditure account so she can spend it accordingly.
How much was that grant?
This payment was 54, but the total grant was it 300?
And it's basically, they disperse it in segments. So we have to shift the fund source so that she can actually spend it how she needs to spend it.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment.
Second by Kirby. All in favor? Motion passes. Can't even spell your name right. Okay. Okay, at this time, we're gonna go to item number 18, and we're gonna go into executive session at 8:39 for 551.074 and 551.076. Okay, we're gonna reconvene from executive session at 10:01. Ooh, that's late. Okay, so we're going to, there's nothing on item 20. We're gonna, no action on 20. No action on number 21. We're gonna go to item number 22. Consider approval of additional Venus ISD Police Department position.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Got a motion by Tasha,
Second.
a second by Kirby. All in favor? Motion passes. Okay, item number 23, we're not gonna take any action on that one. I'm gonna go to item number 24, reports. Superintendent?
We have 2,323 students at our last count, and our attendance is not where we'd like it to be. I think we're at 93%, if I saw that right today. So anyway, that's something that we'll be working on.
Okay, Mr. Moore?
Something that I just wanted to bring to your attention, and we've been totally blessed as a district on some of the grant funds that we've been awarded. Ms. Buck touched on that briefly. We received a $39,000 plus grant for our kids to do robotics competitions. Another grant that we have been awarded with it's called the SAF, the School Action Fund. And with all the conversations that we've had up to this point about P-TECH, the part of the School Action Fund, it goes hand in glove with the P-TECH design. The difference between the P-TECH and the T-class that we've talked about prior to is the SAF is more geared towards the lower grades. So we're going to be able to do some school redesign in our lower grades to help support as we build forward with the P-TECH. One of the things that this grant provides is the ability to hire an additional position to provide some support for our campus principal so that she can do the work that is going to be part of this grant. The initial year is a $200,000 grant. And so as we move through this initial year, as we check all the boxes and hit all the criteria, it will be an additional $500,000 over the course of 2 years. So it will be of great support for us moving forward in the direction that we're going to go.
What was the name of the grant again?
It's called the SAF, School Action Fund.
Now, this is going to enable us to put a part-time assistant.
Yes, yes. Part of the requirements of the grant is we have to allocate allocate about 20 hours a week for Ms. Box to go in and do coaching and do the training and do the things. And the grant itself pays for us to hire a part-time person to come in and, help with bus duty, cafeteria, all the things that would draw her away on a normal basis.
And she has to do, did you say 20 hours a week?
20 hours a week.
Of training?
Well, it's a multitude of things, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of all of that tonight. But the primary purpose is the coaching design. So it would free her up to be in classrooms and help coach our teachers up in that design.
And that is the whole model of this, is that our principals have gone to a 2-day training themselves, and very intensive stuff to learn how to coach our teachers to better do what they do.
It provides the opportunity to, the key with the school redesign is the instructional leadership piece. And so providing support, providing feedback, being in the classrooms, basically become coaching our teachers up, providing that support. Any other questions?
So we would bring this person on board,
We've got a first post,
a fully funded, part-time
yes,
assistant principal
yes,
at Hillman.
yes,
But it takes away 20 hours a week of the principal's time every week?
yes.
And are we
No.
able to do that?
It actually enables the principal to, what we're saying is the principal would now be in there with the teachers.
Yeah, no.
Right.
It's not like we're gonna send her off to the service center 3 days a week, that sort of thing. It frees her up to have the ability to have some intensive time in the classroom with her classroom teachers,
The principal.
the campus principal.
So this person will just like train side by side with them? It's not taking her,
No, the person that's gonna be put in place is just gonna help fill the role of the campus principal, such as if she needs to meet with her staff at the end of the day, she's not out doing bus duty. This person that's part-time will be doing those types of,
so how is it not adding more onto the principal if she's gotta now find 20 hours a week?
she's being alleviated from 20 hours by having this additional support. It's not like we just added,
Oh, confused, but she's gotta train for 20 hours a week, the principal does.
no.
Who's doing the training?
We expect our principals to be instructional leaders. The hardest thing in the world for them to do is to have the time to go be instructional leaders.
Right.
What this person would do would be kind of handle the principal's light work, not any of the big stuff, but handle their light work to enable them to do that very thing, to be instructional leaders on their campuses.
But they've also gotta train this person, it's required 20 hours a week of training
No.
for them.
There's no training involved in the person that we bring on board, simply because any moment of any day when you walk in the elementary office, little Johnny came off the playground and it pulls those APs and campus people away from the ability to be.
20 hours a week of training.
This is likely going to be, Tasha, a retired administrator.
Yes,
Somebody that could,
So they're working for 20 hours a week?
yes.
So where did the training piece come in? Did I hear something?
The tr-
So I think
the training aspect is within the campus leader and the staff on board.
Okay,
Dr. Morgan, you want to clean this up for us?
I think I'm there. I think I'm there.
So is
I think if you tell me more, I'll get confused again. I think I'm good.
just the elementary or is it all the
Currently, it's at the elementary. All of our campus leaders have gone through 2 days' worth of this TEAL training, the instructional leadership training. But what this grant does is it allows us to have the funds available to target this one campus.
And we picked this campus because that's the one we get the grant for?
Yes, yes. Based on our accreditation rankings, this is the campus that qualified.
Okay, and we got the grant.
Yes,
Well, that's a pretty tough deal. You know, this person coming in ain't gonna know what she did on a day-to-day basis. I mean, she's still gonna have a little added work
Mhm.
any way you see it,
Right.
call it what you want.
Who does the hiring for the position? The principal there, or is this like, do you do the hiring for it? Like, or does the elementary principal do the hiring for it?
oh, it will go through the hiring process at the campus.
At campus
Yes,
level?
yes.
Okay. I don't know if this was part of a specific grant, if you guys,
No.
it goes at the campus. Okay.
Ultimately, the grand scheme of things, and we're not the only or the first to get this grant, is many of the districts talking to some of the districts that are already heavily involved in this. They've hired a retired principal that just wanted to work 20 hours a week.
So they'll have to still have all the principal, like, required qualifications? have to
Yes,
fit
they'll have to be a certified principal through the state of Texas. However, they won't be involved in some of the T-tests, evaluation, some of the things that the principal will maintain.
Okay. Megan, you have anything?
I don't have any.
Okay. Is there anybody have anything on any of the reports? Is there athletics, you have anything on that? Or-
We still play sports.
There we go.
Bulldogs won.
And it's homecoming week.
It's homecoming week, yeah, and is there anything the board for homecoming?
So home, board members typically get in the Suburban, I guess we could get in the squad car, but we drive through the parade, so y'all wanna?
Well, every year I've always stood so I can watch my kids, but this is my first year, so yes, I'm in the vehicle.
So you're in the vehicle, anybody else?
I will let you know, cause I'm doing volleyball freshman class and helping with band, so I'll
Right.
just.
You're on
And
the
I'm
list.
actually.
You're spread thin, yeah,
And-
yeah.
And I'm driving a truck with a trailer, so be careful.
So that was the other thing.
That's me.
Okay,
Does-
Amber's driving freshman.
Do they have trailers for everybody?
That
No,
I
we
do
have
not
one that
know.
we have a group.
Because I know every year I usually pull a trailer or something, so,
Who needs a trailer?
Elementary PTO.
elementary PTO.
So what time, I guess you'll let us know.
Yes, I will, I
Okay.
think it's at 5:30.
It's 5:30 too.
It's at 5:30,
It's 5:30, okay.
5:30 parade.
And they've
Yes.
already entered and paid too.
so we'll get there. at
They're
5.
good, they just need a trailer?
Just in trailer, they're still free.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually have.
I think I can hand, I can,
I need to bring mine over.
Now, we got that. Somebody in the front seat holds on to it, somebody in the back seat holds it.
okay, so, was there any other things on the report that anybody had, questions on?
No.
No?
Oh,
Nope.
do we have, are we asking for other stuff?
So,
Number 25?
I'm gonna go to
Oh.
item number 25. Anybody have any requests for the next board meeting?
Well, Joe asked for the pay to be on for next month's pay. And then I do have a request. I would like to know about the teacher, or the pairs that we put in teachers' positions, if they have already enrolled in school, when their enrollment date was, and where they're, doing all that.
You get that? We've got the workshop Saturday, the next meeting, the workshop, September 24th. Is everybody gonna be able to make the workshop?
I am not.
Amber's not gonna-
You're not,
I have
okay.
I have closed in, month in, all
Okay.
weekend.
Try?
Yeah, I'm on nights.
Okay.
Nights, okay, so
Yeah.
maybe three, possibly three, or,
It's this Saturday.
This Saturday. Can you make that, Greg?
I work Saturday and Sunday, so.
Yeah, I'm on next.
That's
week.
fine.
I can make it. I'm on days this week, I'm in school, that's what they're asked to.
well, you wanna think maybe,
Hey, guys, we can postpone it.
yeah,
Listen, it's homecoming weekend, it's BYU
It's tough.
homecoming, we got a lot
it's
going
tough.
on.
Let's,
This is a self-imposed deal.
Yeah.
So we can move this. Why don't we postpone that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get another date, and Jay, always check your schedule first. And, I'll get another date, and we'll get it.
okay, So-
And so what happens is we'll start the bond committees, we'll start meeting, and we may be in there, in the middle of it.
okay, so
That's okay.
no workshop, okay, so as of right now, the next meeting will be Monday, October 17th. So, and, if nobody has anything else.
I got something.
Yep, yes, sir.
I don't know for sure, but when I got on this board, I thought these people had longer than 3 minutes. I think our 3 minutes just told Ms. Hayes tonight that we don't care what she has to say.
That's-
I think we owe her, or a parent that wants to stand up there and express a concern about their kids or something, I think we're telling them we don't wanna hear them if that's all we're gonna give them. I think that is very bad policy.
Well, we don't have very many people speak, and like I said, currently,
I
so,
don't care if it's one
I mean, and I'm just saying, we can change that.
Yeah, but
It's,
I like
if,
them to have 5
if you
minutes
want
at
5
least.
minutes,
5 to 7 minutes, it used to be what? It
It's-
was more than 3.
it used to be 5. It used to be 5.
So how'd we get to 3?
I don't know, I wasn't on the board when it changed, so.
I wasn't
I
either.
mean,
It
I
was
mean-
5 when I was on the board.
I'm just,
I don't think that's quite fair.
Everybody can talk.
right, I mean, when we have a bunch of people,
Regulate the number, it was anticipation, you may have them thrown out the door for
right,
3.5 hours.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But still, if I've gotta sit here 3.5 hours,
It did not materialize, so
Right.
that 3 minutes was kind of foolish now, but at the time it did.
yeah, if
Right.
I gotta sit in here for another 3 hours to hear what that concerned parent had to say, I'm ready to sit here. So I'd like to see us make that at least 5 minutes.
What do we have to do to make
So,
a change to that?
just have to make
I put it on here so we can do it next board meeting.
next board policy, yeah. So,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
okay.
I put it in here.
It's a simple change. We can talk about it, though, because it's, okay, does anybody have anything else? If nothing else, we're gonna go to, item number 26, adjournment at 10:16.